What's up?
What's up?
How's it going?
I am going good.
You are going good.
Yes. I'm functioning.
All right. Welcome back to another
How many times are you going to welcome them back?
I cut that out
You
before.
can't cut all the beginnings.
I cut it all out. It was all garbage.
Why are you insulting the guy?
We had a weird visitor at the beginning of this episode. I threw him out and we're starting again. Welcome back to another episode.
I'm just going to do that randomly every now and again.
Of Sheena. Are you out of your mind?
No.
This is actually
That's
a
how I
really nice
protest.
segue into our topic today.
What is it?
So the topic today is how to navigate relationships, new relationships after you get married.
What does that have to do with...
Because I really had to learn how to navigate all that you bring to the table.
I never did that before.
All of
It's only
this.
now when you threaten to throw away my characters, I do that in protest.
You've been protesting all kinds of weird things since we got married. It's like dealing with a child.
Okay.
So we left off last episode. We told the second half of our love story, right? The thing that I was thinking about after we finished that episode was all the things you have to learn within a relationship when you get married. So you get married to one person, but there's so many other people involved, and you have to learn to navigate all these new relationships. It comes with new responsibilities. It comes with new expectations. It comes with a whole new string of things.
Yes.
But not only that, you now have another set of parents that you have to learn to get along with, and you have to learn to navigate that relationship. So relationship with the in-laws, the relationship with your siblings, with your in-laws' siblings.
Why are you so excited?
What do you
You
mean?
see the video, you'll think you're under attack.
I'm just talking.
You're so scared.
Not scared.
Okay.
Just
It's very
normal.
stressful for you.
It's not.
Now it's stressful for you at this point? Imagine we did this podcast years ago. You'd have fainted right in the middle of the show.
I actually had a really, really lovely integration into the family.
I know who listens to your podcast. That's why you're saying all these things.
No,
now.
but it is something that you have to work through. And I also was talking to somebody who is newly married, and she was reminding me of these things that
Who?
I'm not telling you
Whose
who.
in-laws are mean to them? Just say it. Just say it. Who was it? Who's newly married talking to you who hates their in-laws? Say it.
Nobody.
I want to send it to the in-laws and say, look what you've done. Your daughter-in-law hates you. She wants us to talk about it publicly.
I never said
Who's the girl? Just say. Give a clue. At least our friends should know who hates their new life.
No, I'm not saying anything. And
Okay.
she never said that she hates her new life. We
think
were
she
just
hates it.
talking about how it's difficult to navigate these new relationships.
Is it that girl whose wedding we went to last month?
No, I'm not telling you
Huh?
anything.
The one in New York?
I'm not telling you anything other
Okay.
than that. We're going to talk about our
Oh,
experience.
boo. I know that one. There's no tea there. Essentially, you get to a point where the people on the other side like you more than their own person.
Yeah, but how
Then
do
you
you
move
get
on.
to that point? And does everybody really get to that point?
No.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that's really the best way to do it, to get to a point where it's seamless. Your in-laws think of you as their child, not as your daughter-in-law or son-in-law.
That's the most cliche line
What?
in every parent's speech. I haven't lost a daughter. I have gained a son. You know that line? I don't have a son-in-law. I have 2 sons now. I don't have a daughter-in-law. I have 2 daughters now.
But think about it.
I got the
Isn't
daughter
it-
I always wanted. I did
But
not get
that's
a
so
daughter-in-law.
nice. That's such a nice
So what? Your
thing.
son's married to your daughter?
No.
Sicko?
But it's such a nice sentiment.
Yeah, but they don't even know you at that point, you're saying.
So my point is
Just
you
saying
have
it.
to grow to that.
Saying it for the videos.
You have to grow to that. I don't believe in saying it just for the videos.
They should just say like that. I just got to know this person.
Yeah.
They went to college with my child.
Yeah.
They seem decent.
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% sure.
Huh.
But they're insisting.
To
So
get
now
married?
I'm hoping for the best.
Yeah, you have
That's
to
the
hope
most
for the
honest
best.
statement. But no one says
but
that in the
it's
speech.
not hoping for the best. It takes work. These relationships take a
Yeah.
lot of work. Do you know how many times your sister called me in the beginning to just like get to know me better even though we had known each other for years, but to make me feel comfortable, to make me feel seen, to make me feel heard, to make me feel valued.
Afternoon, though.
Afternoon.
She called before noon. You were sleeping.
I was sleeping, exactly.
Yeah, she knew not to call in the AM hours.
But
You'd be sleeping.
do you know how many hours she spent on the phone?
Yeah,
We've
I do.
clocked like hundreds, thousands
Are we
of
going to
hours.
talk about Monday mornings?
Yeah, we could talk about Monday mornings.
No, don't do it. I was just checking.
My sister-in-law and I, for many, many years, we would check in on Monday morning after all the chaos. And this happened for later on in our lives when the kids were little, and we would have these like crazy weekends home with kids and husbands and all kinds of stuff. And we knew we had these stressful moments. We would check in on Monday morning and we would talk for an hour, just let it all out.
A debrief.
Yeah, it was a debrief.
You get it?
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, the point is, all of these relationships take a lot of work.
That's why I do what I do.
Which is what?
When I get all like, you go talk to someone in your
Yeah.
debrief.
Yeah.
I just do,
Oh my
God. It's the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
It's just releasing a different way.
No.
Same way, actually. You need someone to hear it. I don't. So why use words when you can just use noise?
This is really
Do
weird.
you feel better after you talk to her?
100%.
I feel better after I do,
You feel 100 times better?
maybe 62 times better.
I don't believe you.
Let me try a different noise, maybe you think?
No.
Woo! That feels about the same.
You're so
That
silly.
feels about the same. I don't think the
very
noise
silly.
makes a difference.
I think that you don't understand the value of it because you've never actually done it yourself.
Okay, do it with me.
No, I'm not doing noises.
Maybe if two people do it, it'll be better.
You know you're going to annoy our listeners.
No.
Yes, you are.
Okay, leave comment if you're annoyed.
Put your hand up if you're annoyed. And
No
put
hand up.
Put
Just say
two
that
hands up if
noise
you
was-
want to
no.
actually hear what I have to say.
Just write a sentence whether or not it's annoying or not. If you put a hand up, we don't remember what we asked
Okay,
for.
tell us if you think it's annoying
Yeah.
and if you want to hear what I have to say. So my point is, when you start this relationship, when you start this journey, there are a bunch of different relationships that you have to learn to navigate. And they all take time. They all take effort. And there's a few things that I learned along the way. One, the people that are receiving you in that family, it's a really, really important thing for them to receive you without judgment.
It's important for them
To receive you
they
without...
should do that. You're
I'm
guiding the people. You're like, hey, don't judge them.
If you have a sibling and they are getting married, say you have a brother and he's getting married in a few months,
Yeah.
and you have a sister-in-law coming in,
Yeah.
and you are capable and you have the ability to put in a little bit of time. Like, I would recommend calling her once a week.
Before the marriage or after?
Both. I would,
Before and after.
your sister did that for me. Your
Okay.
sister called me regularly, and when I remember going to visit her in New York before we got married, we were engaged. I remember visiting her for a weekend. When I got to her house, she had a little gift basket on my bed. It had like a couple of cute little t-shirts, a pair of pajamas, a new toothbrush, like some chocolates, just like some fun things, a couple of little trinkets just to say, I'm really happy you're here. And she spent time doing things that I wanted to do, that she knew I would like. And she knew me well, but it was a different, like, you're my sister and I'm taking care of you.
That's nice.
It was really nice. And over the course of those first few months, our relationship really, it solidified, it warmed. It made me feel like I was coming into this house and I already had an ally. And she didn't live with me, but I was coming into this family and I had this ally. And I remember feeling like if I ever had an issue, I could talk to her about it. And it wasn't, oh, but I'm talking to my sister-in-law and I'm afraid that this is going to go to my husband or it's going to go to my in-laws. It's going to go back to people. She took care of me. She was my person in those moments.
So your advice is get to know your new person coming into your house.
Absolutely. And then when my brother got married years later, I tried to take that same model and replicate it. I don't know if I did a gift basket, but I would really try to connect with my sister-in-law. And then I learned another lesson. With people coming in that you don't know, they're going to have personality traits that you're not used to. They're going to have personality traits that are different than what you've grown up with. And you have to give that time too to settle. You have to give that time to sort of make its way into your family too, because everybody comes with their own set of personality traits, likes, dislikes, and you have to just that person is in your family whether you like it or not. It's up to you to decide if you want to make it work.
So how did you make it work? Did you make it work?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a great relationship with both my sisters-in-law.
So how did you make it work?
Consistency, like I would consistently check in. I instead of checking in with my brother, I would check in with his wife.
So you're lucky that
Yes.
it worked out for you.
Yes.
What about people who
But
are
it wasn't
trying?
always easy.
So what about people who are trying
Yeah.
or have tried
Yeah.
and they just don't have a good relationship with their sibling's spouse?
That's possible. I would say keep showing up, keep being kind. Like, don't use that as an opportunity to think and judge and be negative towards that relationship.
And what if that person's so like disinterested? Honestly, a lot of that comes from just lack of confidence or insecurities.
Sure.
And it makes sense what you're saying. It's a new, relationship. It's a new environment.
Yeah.
All of a sudden your spouse is introducing other people's opinions when they didn't really used to before.
Yeah.
So there's that almost
Where is he getting this from, or where is she getting this from?
Yeah, this instinct to push back a little on anything that's outside.
Yeah.
So what do you do, or what do you say to people who are just sort of saying, look, we don't get along. Like I don't feel good with this person. I don't think it's the right person for my significant other.
My answer is you keep trying. You keep showing up, because at the end of the day, it's not about whether you get along with that person and how it's going to affect your family. It's your brother, sister, whoever has decided to be with that person.
Yeah.
And is your job to make it more difficult for them, or is it to make it easier for them?
I agree. It's selfish.
I think your job is to, like, your sister made it easier for us to be together, for us to get along, for us to just learn about each other, because she made it easier for me and her to get along and for the family to love me. She was on my side, right? So I tried to be that same person for my brother and his wife. It wasn't about whether I got along with her or not. It was about whether my brother was happy. And so I had to get along with her, whether I knew her well or not. And I just kept, and I have to say, like, I think I kept forcing myself into getting to know her, even if maybe she didn't necessarily want to. I actually don't know. I think maybe she didn't know that she wanted to.
She
and I'm like,
listen to podcasts.
She does. She listens to our podcast all the time. She loves our podcast. She's a big supporter. And we've talked about the fact that we were not each other's like biggest cheerleaders right in the beginning. And we just kept showing up. Both of us. We kept showing up. We kept making an effort. And along the way, you have arguments or you have disagreements, and you learn to just respect each other for whatever it is that you bring to the table. And I love that. I love that we had a little turbulence, because we learned to celebrate each other's differences too. There are so many times that I call her and I say, hey, what do you think about this? This happened, whatever. What do you think? What would you do in this scenario? Because I've learned to just approach her with no judgment. And I think that's the most important thing.
So that's the takeaway.
You can take whatever you want. You can take tidbits of this. This is just what worked for me. The other thing I realized, and I've realized this on all fronts with all of the women that are close to me that I've kind of had conversations with over the last however many years, women going into relationships with other women, we all have insecurities. I think with men, there's less conversation around it. Men are just very logical, and it's like, just tell me where to be, what time to show up. And there's a lot of these kinds of conversations where like, you think too hard about this. You think too much about this. But the truth is we have our insecurities. And when we are in spaces with other women, those insecurities get tested, right? Is it because he wants to listen to her? Is it because she thinks she knows better? Is it because this is the way they've always done it? They don't want to hear my opinion. We're all trying to prove ourselves. So a woman going into a family, a new family, she feels like, it's hard because she wants to assert herself. She wants everybody to value her opinion the way that her family values her opinion, right? And it's so many years later, and still somehow, sometimes I tell you, do you think that anybody heard what I had to say? Even in your family, where I know they've known me for so many years, I wonder, do they think that do they really understand where I'm coming from?
That's what I tell you. Everyone except my uncle, because he's deaf. But other than him, they're listening.
Yeah, and in some cases,
And I tell you, just text them.
there are family members that will come to me before they come to you.
Yes, that's the rule we've set, actually.
Yeah.
They should go to you first.
Well, some people come to you first.
That's level 4 emergency.
Yeah. Level 1, 2,
1,
3,
2, 3, they have to go to you.
So all this to say, I think that these relationships are really, really hard to navigate at first. And especially when, like us, we got married so young, I think there was just this confidence that still needed to grow and build and solidify.
You're talking about the families.
I'm talking about everything.
But that's everything you've talked about so far is based on family dynamics.
Yeah.
What about other relationships? Like, what about friends? What
Yeah.
about being in a new community? Or how do you do that? See, we don't know a lot of these things because we didn't have...
Separate friend groups.
No, we did. But we left all of them.
Yeah.
Like, we moved. So it
Yeah.
didn't matter. So for some people, where they meet someone, one person's living in one city, the other person's in another city, that can get tricky too.
Absolutely.
Now one person's moving to another part of town or to a different city to be with their significant other. Now all of a sudden you have to get adopted into a circle of friends.
Yeah.
Now, even as for those of you who are parents, this is easy to understand, but your child makes a friend at school. Then you want to get to know a little bit the parents, right? You're like, okay, if my kid wants to go to their house all the time, I want to know
Who those
where
parents
they're
are,
hanging out.
right.
And then one of you meets the parents, you know, one spouse meets the other one, and they're like, oh, 2 out of 3 kids like each other,
Wives like
call
each
it
other.
moms or dads or whoever like each other, and now the third one meets, and you're like, oh, so close, didn't work. So it's hard. Like it's hard to make all of those connections work, but that's happened so many times. You meet people, you meet one, either you get along really well with the mom, or I might get along really well with the dad.
Yeah.
And then it's hard to find that trifecta where everyone connects. But even without the children, you think about a situation where, 2 people meet in college. They stay together. They start their first jobs. They're in different cities. The relationship goes well. Every, long weekend, one person or the other is flying to be together.
Yeah.
That's all wonderful. And then you get, you decide to move together. One person has to give up
Their friend circle.
their comfort zone
Yeah.
and move to the other part.
Yeah.
Everyone should just be ineligible.
Why?
Say if you both have to go pick a third city.
But
Leave
what
it all
if-
behind.
But what if the friend circle is very welcoming and can welcome the significant other?
No, you should have
openly?
to abandon it.
Why?
Because it requires some sacrifice for it to work.
But even this, okay, so say you live
In the olden days, to get married, you have to throw your sibling in a volcano.
What?
Like sacrifice, man.
Who?
Like the good old days.
Whoever did that?
The Kanchatoon tribe.
You made this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're French Argentinians.
Nobody-
They used to throw their siblings or deaf uncles into a volcano
Nobody
to
ever
bless
did
their
that.
weddings.
Okay. The point is, I think that even the person whose group it is,
Yeah. They should at least be forced to give you 3 friends.
they're also sacrificing in some way. They can't just go hang out with
Because
their
the single
friends.
friends will be like, okay, you're dead to us now.
No,
Because now you have this other person. That happens all the time.
I mean it does.
Oh no, it
happen.
happens when you become a mom. Then they're like, you're out.
That sometimes happens also.
Yeah.
But I think that
Friends suck, is what you're saying.
No, I didn't say
Just
that.
find your spouse, make their family mad at you, and live your life.
No,
The American dream.
absolutely not.
I don't know what you're saying then.
I'm just saying that these relationships are difficult to navigate. That's all I said.
That's it.
And with your friend circle, your friends and your spouse have to do a good job of bringing you into the fold. It's impossible to function otherwise. They have to do a good job of making sure you're comfortable.
So I want to hear from the people whose friends have gone and brought in their boyfriend or their significant other who you hate. I want to
Yeah,
hear from them.
that
What do you do?
happens. That
What do you do when your friend shows up with their all smitten by this new person and you know that person's a jerk?
Yeah.
What do you do?
you have to just try to make it work. You have to push yourself.
I was testing you.
Why?
I wanted to see if you're going to give a consistent answer, and you did. You passed.
You have to push yourself.
We're going to celebrate
Yes.
you passing that test
By taking a little.
We're going to take a break, and we'll get a word from our sponsors.
Oh, okay.
Is this our sponsor?
No, this is not our sponsor. Oh, it is our sponsor.
Yeah. So I happened to be drinking the drink of the sponsor, so I wanted to make sure this was the sponsor because I like this drink.
All right. Warmer, sunnier days are calling. Fuel up for them with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for the summer thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you'll always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this month with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients that you can trust. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, no prepping, no cooking. No cleanup. That's my favorite part. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle. Choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage calories, maximize protein intake, avoid meat, or simply eat well balanced. So we've been doing the vegetarian options and they've been great. They've been super easy. They've been super efficient and we've been loving them. Delicious. Head to factormeals.com/Sheena50 and use code Sheena50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off of your next month. That's code Sheena50 at factormeals.com/Sheena50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. And we're back. You heard from me. You heard what I thought about, some of my tips, some of my strategies. What was it like for you getting married and having to navigate these relationships? Was it as big of a deal or not really?
No.
Do you think it's harder for women?
I don't know. It depends on the circumstance. I think it was harder for you.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't hard for me, but our circumstances were very unique.
Everybody's circumstances are unique.
That's true, but we up and left.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these issues that you're thinking through, we didn't have to think about. There was no my friend group, your friend group.
Right.
We moved from Montreal to Boston, and then it was creating a new circle.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything baked in. So it was almost like when we got here, we were a unit.
Yeah.
We were meeting people together. We didn't have a circle of friends from a prior point in time or anything. So that part I didn't find that difficult. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I didn't have time for it.
Yeah.
So if you were able to make friends, that was great. Mm-hmm. My time was very much limited and focused on the professional side.
Yeah.
And then within 2 years, we moved to Japan.
Yeah.
So I went to Japan for a
new
year.
friend circle.
I mean, we knew that was temporary, mm-hmm. right? You're just finding relationships to make that time feel more fruitful. Mm-hmm. And then we came back. Mm-hmm. And when you move back from a place, you move to Japan, you come back, now you're reestablishing your way of life. You're trying to reintegrate. For me at work, at that point, you also had a work visa. So you were starting to think about what you wanted to do. So I don't think we had a lot of time to actually deal with the sort of things that people do. Like, by way of example, if someone gets married, even in Montreal till now, mm-hmm. right? We have these groups and this and that. You'll get a message. Like right now, who's coming this weekend, right? Someone's having a birthday party, someone's having an anniversary. A lot of the scenarios you're talking about, mm-hmm. where you have family, you have a spouse who is... or a new spouse into that circle, that person has to be in an environment that's new to them so regularly. Mm-hmm. Whereas for us, that just wasn't the case. We were barely here. Sure. We moved. Then even as we were establishing in Boston, we only had 2 years and moved to Japan for a year.
Sure.
Then we came back, tried to reestablish ourselves. There was a period of time after we came back where you were doing a lot of trips to Montreal. Like, we had health disruptions.
Yeah. Okay, but let's go back to the first 6 months. I understand what you're saying with the friend groups. I understand what you're saying with just the fact that we had different circumstances. But your relationship with my parents. You knew my parents before.
Yeah, it was easy for me because I knew that, like, I think the issues you're flagging are a lot more complex for the more what I'll call the current day relationship. It's more common for two adults or young adults to meet on their own, and they're not likely to have known each other's families. So for me, I think it was super easy. I don't think anything really changed in that way or in a really, in a big way. And we weren't around. So that's the thing. I think it could have been more complicated if we stayed in Montreal and then there was this tug of war between, oh, are you going to this event or that event? This is my high school friend's party and that's your cousin's party. So we didn't have any of that. So for me, I think it was fairly easy. I enjoy.
But we still had the same, like, where are you going to spend Christmas? Are you going to do Christmas with this side or that side?
It's so limited, right? Like, it was limited. So I guess you could look at it as, did we have issues? And the answer is yes. Or you could look at it as, did we have really any issues? And my view of that is no. And of course, there were points in time where, during the holidays, where are you going to be? And we did some crazy things too, where it's just like, okay, to make this work, bring everybody under one roof. Every family, every relative, every cousin, anyone who has any blood lineage, just show up. We'll give you a sofa. We'll give you a room. And I don't think that's smart. The first year. I don't think it's smart. Like, and I could go back.
And it was actually, we split the holiday in half. We did Christmas with one side and New Year with the other side.
And that's all I understand. Yeah. That all comes from this place. And there's nothing wrong with any of these people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like anything bad happened or anything, like there's no arguments or anything. It just lacks a little bit of that. When you want to get together with your group of people to enjoy it, it's very difficult enjoyable. When you bring 25 people and that's 3 different groups, right? Like, that's what happens. You have a group of 7, a group of 8, like that's not the point. You're just making concessions for the sake of everyone gets a bronze medal is what you're doing, instead of saying, okay, you get a gold, you get a silver, silver, you don't participate this year. I think I'm now at a place where I am perfectly fine saying I'm not coming. Like, we have plans. We're doing this. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
You can do that later in life.
I think you could do it earlier.
But you do it earlier.
We just didn't have the confidence to do it. We felt that pressure. We weren't as self-assured. Because today I say this not because I'm egotistical or out of pride, out of anything else. I just say it purely out of a desire to maximize that time and make it enjoyable for everyone. So I don't really care, to be blunt, if somebody doesn't recognize that I'm just trying to do something that's the best for the people I care for, while recognizing that
but those people are also trying to do that. And
correct.
that requires, or that sort of involves them wanting to have, like, it
just depends on what else is happening.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
We have missed very, very significant events because of the turn. And I just don't, I've learned from those mistakes. I 100% call them mistakes. Not that it was a bad time with one side over the other, but it was a missed opportunity to do something that's never going to happen again, purely because of a desire to avoid a conflict with my significant other over, oh, it's this turn, it's that turn. But I think we've both learned from that. Like, sometimes it's better to say, we're not doing this year. I know we were supposed to do Thanksgiving here, but this other thing is happening. Right. We need to be over there.
Right. And that's where communication comes in. Like, that's where it's important to have these conversations and not necessarily be worried that the other person's feelings are going to be hurt, because the talking through, this is why I'd like to do this, this is why I want this, not because it's this is what's fair and that's what's fair. And we've been talking about
we've been
talking to our kids about this too, like, I did this, so that therefore this is your turn now, or this means this is fair or that's fair. It's not necessarily about what's fair or not, it's about what's right, and what's also where your heart sort of is. And I think that you have to find that balance, but you have to communicate that. And that's one of the things that it took us time to learn that.
Yeah, hopefully you're listening and you can learn from this.
Yes.
Like, talk about what's important to you,
Yeah.
but try to be objective.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part, to be
Yes.
objective. It's so easy to say, you always say this, you never want to do that. If you're using words like always and never, you're already discrediting your argument.
Yeah.
And we talk about this all the time. Like, don't use words like always and never.
Because it's never always the case, and it's
or
not
never,
never the case.
You are generalizing something that frustrates you.
Yeah.
And the number one thing you can say to someone to cause an argument is to generalize.
Yeah.
And just say they always or never do something, because that's just factually wrong.
Yeah.
You can say many times.
Yeah.
That's more fair. I can hear that. Other
I
people
feel
can
that
hear
this
that.
is often the
This
case.
happens regularly.
Yeah.
At least the conversation's still going.
Yeah.
When you say you always do this, you never do that, it's shut down. It's over. You've already made up your mind. So why should I engage with you in this conversation, is the way I feel.
Right.
So we've sort of moved away as best we can from those words.
Yeah. The question of objectivity is also, sometimes I may objectively feel this.
Yeah.
You may objectively
That's
feel
perfectly right. Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
And you have to
You just
talk
fight.
about it. No, you don't have to fight.
What do you mean?
You have to
A
talk
race.
about it.
Just run. Arm wrestle. Just pick something that you're equal at.
No,
Like
I think it's
three-legged race.
important to hear the other person out.
But you could still end up in that situation you're sharing, where just based on your own relationships, you feel closer one to the other. I will give a serious, I'm not joking,
Right.
and probably not that popular opinion. Split the holiday. Like, split up your own family if you feel that way.
What do you mean?
Like, you go to one event,
No.
I go to the other. No, I'm serious.
No.
Because at least that way, nobody feels while they are somewhere that they absolutely should be somewhere else. That's why I
don't-
said it's not a popular
Yeah,
opinion.
it's not even it's
But,
not popular
yeah,
between us.
That's why I said that. But at the end of the day, if you go to one thing
Yeah.
and your significant other goes to another thing,
Yeah.
you might be missing each other,
Yeah.
but none of you is blaming each other
Yeah,
at the
that's
end of the day for, oh, I missed my, my sister's this
Right.
because I had to be here. Or you're saying, I missed my brother's this because I had to be there with you.
Totally.
So
The thing that comes up when you say things like this is, I think it's fine between the couple. If that's the decision that you make, that's fine. That's your choice. The thing that I have often felt drives a wedge between people's relationships and making choices like this is if other people start weighing in.
And
on
other people
what
always will.
Absolutely. But I think that that's really important to just to acknowledge, like, it's not necessary to weigh in on other people's
Yeah.
choices.
Oh, and who you are. If you're listening, the people that like to try to weasel other people to do stuff, they know what they're doing.
But it's
So if
not,
you're listening, stop it. Like, if you're one of those people that's like, let me see if I can find a way.
But it comes from a good place.
Oh, no, it comes from a selfish place of, I want you to do this. It comes from a good place in that the
They don't
person
want
thinks
you
it's
to
what's
miss
good
out,
for
and
you.
they think
Yeah.
that that's what's good
but
for
it's
you.
good for them.
Yes.
Or even if they're not there,
Yes.
they feel like, okay, this is what you should do.
Yes.
And there's different flavors that takes.
Yes.
There's the pure guilt trip flavor. Oh my God, I'm never going to do this again. How could you miss it? There's
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
I went to your this. How could you not come to my this? There's that flavor. There's the,
They're like ice cream flavors.
yeah, there's the, oh, poor me version.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, it's fine.
They're
I
all
guess you're
some
not gonna
form of,
come.
like, trying to
I
make
should
you
have
feel
known. I
bad.
should have known you weren't gonna come. Yeah, I realize that's more important to you than this. There's the poor me. There's the screw you, the first one. The poor me is the second one.
Yeah.
Like,
I
ultimately,
think that all
just
these
say,
things come from a place of, I really want you there.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
just respect the person's brain
But
and
there
their
are
ability to
these are
digest
layered
their scenario.
conversations, right?
Yeah.
These are layered scenarios. There's many things to acknowledge. There's many things to weigh in. There's many things to kind of think through before you make that choice.
But once you realize
Yes.
someone is trying to, and these are
Yes.
different manipulations.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Oh, terrible.
You feel terrible. I feel like I don't want to
feel
go.
Terrible.
No, for me, it's the opposite. So
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you're trying to manipulate
Then
me
I don't want
into
to do
doing
what they're
something,
trying to get me to do.
which is the opposite of your role.
100%.
So you're better off just like not saying anything.
But I still feel badly.
You can feel bad,
Even-
but they
even
don't
if
say
I
it for you to
say-
feel bad. They say it because they want you to show up.
I get it. But my point is, I still feel like even if I say, no, I'm digging my heels and I'm not going because you're trying to manipulate me
Yeah.
to do something, I still feel bad that I'm not doing the thing that I'm being kind of urged to do.
And you might miss out actually because you may have actually
100%.
picked to do that thing,
100%.
but for the manipulation.
So this is another kind of...
I think you handled a recent manipulation situation pretty well.
Which one?
Do
we want to talk about this?
I'm gonna find a way to talk. I don't think any of them listen to this, but
Okay, they all
there was a visitor who was coming, and
Everybody
they had to
listens
figure
to our
out where to
podcast.
stay,
Yes.
and they were like trying to figure out,
Yes.
you know, where to stay.
Yes.
And instead of participating in the game, you just sort of said, you stay where you want to
do
stay.
what you want to do.
I'll see you when I see you, and it's
Yes.
no harm, no foul.
Well, I think that I've learned
Because then you
from
leave
being
the person,
manipulated.
yeah, and then you let the person choose,
Yes.
and they will choose, and irrespective of what they choose, at least they know your relationship stays clean because
Yes.
you're not like someone who tried to,
Yes.
you know, and if somebody else feels so strongly
Yeah.
about something
Yeah.
and you don't,
Yeah.
let them have that. You don't know what's happening in other
Totally.
people's lives.
Totally. And I think that I hope that I'm going to learn from that and take it forward, because it's easy to do it when it's not people like your children.
Yeah.
Right? These are cousins or friends or
Yeah.
extended relatives. But when it's your kids, these are the times where I think you feel, imagine our kids, they get married, they have to go and spend their first Christmas away from us. Like, I know that's going to be hard for us, or at least for me. It's going to be hard, and you're going to want to say, oh, why don't you come with me? Or why don't you come home? Don't you feel like being with us for Christmas? But the truth of the matter is, they're probably hearing from their significant other, but my mom feels like she wants me to
Right.
come home for Christmas.
Yeah, so we'll do a 50-person Christmas where no one's happy. Just get bronze medals for everyone.
I
You know,
hope,
the whole
I hope
thing
that
with
we
the
can remember
holidays.
this going forward.
Yeah, and the whole thing with the holidays is it's like predetermined periods of time where people have a break.
Yeah.
With a little bit of planning, you can orchestrate that.
Yeah.
You're talking about 3-4 days, right? You're not talking about big chunks of time.
Yeah.
Take those 3-4 days and just say, hey, can you spend 3 days at the end of August?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you could pick any period of time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these fights
Mm-hmm.
actually happen, and they're not real fights. I mean, the tug of war
Yeah.
is an ego thing. It happens because the family
Yeah.
at some level
Mm-hmm.
wants to say, wants to know, wants to feel
They
that,
chose
okay,
me.
you're coming here.
Yeah.
Not recognizing that's not what's best for you.
Yeah.
Like, you'll make a decision that's best for you, and it's nothing to do with how strong
But
a
maybe
particular
they feel like
relationship
that's
is.
the decision that's best for them, to have all of their people.
No, they want
Right?
exactly. But that's my point, is only to say I cannot insist to put what I want over what you want
Yeah.
or what's best for your unit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you do what's best for you, and if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I've realized I never know what else is happening in someone's life.
Yeah.
Right? We have so many things happening in our lives that we don't share.
Yeah.
So if someone has something happening in their life that requires that they be a certain place or not, more than ever, I'm like, okay, you make your choice
Yeah.
because you'll know what's best.
Yeah, absolutely.
And someone can say, I would really like you to be there, or I can say, I would really like you to be here. And if someone says it's not going to work for me this time, I stop.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my place to try to push that.
Yeah.
But it's
But it's
absolutely
easier
true.
for you, I think. It has been easier in the course of our lives for you to say that, think that, live that, because one, you're not involved in as much of the planning,
Yeah.
right? So I know that I have fielded those conversations, those calls of like, oh, but we really wanted you to be there. Oh, and so then I relay that to you, and then we have this conversation. But I feel like there is a little bit more pressure on the woman because she is often the one. And I'm saying this is a
Yeah, it's a
generalization,
but it's fair. It's accurate for us
Yeah.
and for many people we know.
right.
Where a lot of that conversation begins, because you're better than I am at looking forward
Right.
on the calendar and saying, hey, this is around the corner,
Yeah.
this is around the corner.
Yeah.
I don't even like booking hotels till we're in the air.
I know you
So
don't.
it's a very different vibe.
I know it is. And it's hard when your defenses go up, and it's hard when you have these expectations of how something's going to look, and all of a sudden somebody throws a wrench in. So I think our big takeaways are communicate just the two of you.
Yeah.
That's really important. And share really not just, well, it's my family, so this, or it's my this, so that. I really think it's important to talk about, why would this be a good choice? Why would this be a good choice? And ultimately, whatever choice you make, you have to just go with it and not look back. You know?
That's a good point. Saying, oh, last time we did it with that's not a good reason.
No.
We've done that.
Yeah.
It's probably the number one reason decisions are made.
Yeah.
But there's a default thing there, which essentially is saying each of you prioritize your own families.
And
that's actually not true for many
absolutely.
instances. So you should talk about what it is. Now, for many families, that is true.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a fact.
But you're trying to avoid that outcome, right? The whole goal of marriage, the whole goal of finding this union is to get over that feeling. Like, to really feel like your in-law side of your family is your family, and to realize that your family is also your family.
I will challenge you on that.
Okay.
Because I don't think that's actually correct in terms of how people behave.
Right.
So, like, as much as you have, and I think we're blessed with kind of like as smooth of a crossover as one can ask for. And even in that scenario, and I hear it from you, I hear it from my sister, I hear it from others, when you have your mom there, or versus when you have your mother-in-law there, in any of these instances, you're just more comfortable. Essentially, you're going to be a bigger jerk to your mom than to your mom-in-law.
Yes.
So as smooth as you want it to be, there's certain things that are just always going to be there, and it's a fallacy to try and ignore that.
But I swear, you're right. But I do try.
You make that. I'm not saying you won't do it.
To make an effort to treat them the same.
Right.
To think of them in the same way.
So when you're delivering.
Yes. My babies?
Yes.
Yes.
You want your mom in the room.
I don't want neither of them.
Okay, but if you had to pick one,
of course, I would
it's
pick
your
my
mom.
Yeah.
And that's the right answer.
Yes.
Like, and I mean that sincerely from the standpoint of when our daughter becomes a mom.
Yes.
I hope her significant other doesn't have any like of this idea of their mom should be in the room. Like there are certain things that you just want to have your mother or your father there with you.
Yes.
And I respect that.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, as much as you strive for that, underlying, again, people have some horrible stories, their families are not, just generally speaking, if you have if you are blessed with such a good relationship with your family, it is okay for you to want to take your kids and your spouse, etc. there. Yeah. And you just have to talk about the why, you know, and listen to your other half's why, because you could go for 3 days. And if you force your spouse to go with you for 3 days, one, they're going to be miserable for those 3 days. So the minute you get to your room, you're not going to be happy anymore. And two, you're going to have 6 days at least to suffer on the way back for making them sit through that. It's not worth it. So make sure, we're lucky. We don't have to deal with a lot of the things that we're talking about.
Yes, we are lucky, but I think that has come with a lot of work.
Yeah, it comes with work.
So much. I'm grateful that we put in all that effort. I'm grateful that we did all the things that we did to enjoy a mostly smooth relationship with all sides.
Yeah.
I really do feel like we are blessed, but I'm just saying, if you
want
that. It could get
rugged.
Yeah, but if you want that, it's not just you snap your fingers and it happens. It takes time. And
that's a theme, like everything.
The longer you give it that time to sort of percolate and just marinate a little bit, the better those relationships.
You have to work all the time. You can't just... And start whenever.
Yeah.
Like so there are people listening, I'll be like, oh my God, I would never be able to do this with my brother-in-law or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't know how far that first gesture goes.
Yeah.
And you have nothing to lose by showing a little bit of kindness, a little bit of care.
Yeah.
Because now you're showing that you're actually going to make an effort. And that gets easier when there are children involved.
Yeah.
Gets easier when the family grows because you're spending more time together. And you want the kids to see each other and do things together.
Yeah.
It'd be a shame for families to, because they can't get over their own issues, that they rob the cousins the ability to enjoy a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think that one of the...
I like ending episodes with those words.
Oh,
Can we
that's
just
it?
stop there?
I'm not going to say what I
You
have
just
to
said
say.
you're 100% right.
No, I wanted to share something.
Is there a but after that?
There's no but.
Just I'm 100%.
When
Can you cut it in? Can you leave your last statement and then just end with your 100% right? Will you
You're
repeat
not
that?
100% right.
See, I knew this would go downhill. That's why I just wanted to hit stop. We should have a red button. If anyone's happy, like in America's Got Talent, we could just end the episode there.
Well, all I was going to do was add a supplemental. I agree with you because I feel like there was a even bigger turning point at both cruxes of this relationship with both my sisters-in-law when we each had children. So when we had kids and your sister had her son, we had our son. It was about the same time. We got a lot closer. When my brother's wife had her daughter, and we had already had Jay for a few years, maybe even Zara. Yes.
Both.
I remember just handing her a cup of tea. Just putting a cup of tea beside her after she finished nursing. And the way that she looked at me, it was like filled with tears. Like, you see me, you get me. And I think those gestures, you're right, they can come out of nowhere. They can come at any point in your relationship, and they have the ability to turn something or change something. So keep trying is my point. And I think that was my huge takeaway. Just because somebody is having a tough time falling step into a relationship, whether it's with your spouse, like just in your relationship, whether it's with your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law, keep showing up, keep trying, because these are your people. This could be your tribe. These are the people that you're going to take care of your parents with as you get older. These are the people that are going to look after your children when you need a break. These are the people that are going to show up for you potentially. And it's a lot more rewarding when you make all these relationships work.
You have a song?
I do.
What?
Tell me if you remember the name of the song. I need some love like I never needed love before. Wanna make love to you, baby. Had a little love, now I'm back for more. Wanna make love to you, baby. Set your spirits free. It's the only way to be. Do you remember that
I've
song?
heard the song, but I don't know what it's called.
To Become One.
But who sings that?
The Spice Girls.
Oh my God.
Have a great week.